We have been following this protest that started at 4:30. Over 9,000 people gathered in the city of Providence for a peaceful protest following the death of George Floyd.
And just to kind of set the scene for you, what took place here, you're looking at the Providence Place Mall right here, and you can see the stream of people coming. They're actually coming back now from the Rhode Island State House. That was the end point. This all started at Central High School in Providence. The protesters peacefully walked through Kennedy Plaza, by the mall right here, and up to the State House. And Colonel Hugh Clements, the chief of police in Providence, was talking to Kim Kalunian, and he mentioned that he has worked with Black Lives Matter, Gary. He's known him for a long time. They promised it would be peaceful. He said he believed them. He knew it was not going to turn into what happened on Monday night, and it's been peaceful so far.
And important to note, this was organized by teenagers. It started as a youth protest, but what we've seen throughout our coverage tonight is that this is people of every age, every race, and from every background, including doctors. Doctors supporting this movement, saying that this is a health crisis as well, and they have a responsibility to be there. And our Courtney Carter is live in downtown Providence. She spoke to one of those doctors in our last half hour. Let's go live to Courtney.
Well, Shannon, as we know, there's been a lot of anger this past week and a half, a lot of sadness. But I want to show you something here right now. It's a celebration. We have some African drums, African steel bands. They're dancing, they're singing, all together, singing One Love. Let's get together and feel all right. You can hear it here. So although it's been a lot of sadness, like I just mentioned, a lot of anger over the death of George Floyd and police brutality across the country here, you can see people here together, united, protesting, but also now celebrating. A lot of people feel like they've finally been heard. You've seen these marches across the country, seen them locally, and they feel like their voices are finally being heard from. Shannon.
Courtney, you started your day over at Central High School in Providence, where we've talked about teenagers actually started this event. What were they saying there before the march actually went to Kennedy Plaza and the State House?
Yeah, Mike, they were saying there that they felt like they were passionate and they cared about what was going on. If you can hear me, I'm not sure. It's pretty loud here where they're celebrating here. But they felt like they weren't being taken seriously. But they wanted to put this together to show that they mattered, that the death of George Floyd mattered, that Black Lives matter. They wanted to be taken seriously. And I feel like you've seen the crowds here today. I think they've gotten their point across.
Courtney, it's beautiful to hear joy behind you and music playing after what, as you said, has been a sad and tense week.
I just spoke with Providence Police Chief Hugh Clements. He tells me that they now estimate the crowd size here today to be about 10,000 people. He says it's unlike anything he's ever witnessed here in the capital city. And he said all of these protesters and the organizers of this event have kept their word that this would be a peaceful rally here tonight in downtown Providence. As we know, there is a curfew that goes into effect at 9 o'clock, and the chief tells me things will change a little bit at 8:30. They're not going to be heavy-handed, but they are going to make sure that people are abiding by that curfew. As we've shown you in the past, there were National Guards stationed around the Providence Place Mall. He tells me that is because they are trying to protect the buildings that ended up being vulnerable during those overnight riots Monday into Tuesday, as we saw those images of people breaking into the mall, looting. So he said they are not going to allow that to happen again tonight. The goal tonight here in Providence is for everything to remain peaceful. Now, as a reminder, this whole thing, these 10,000 people gathered here today, this was organized by teenagers. I spoke with two of them, a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old a little bit earlier. I asked them what they thought of the fact that so many thousands of people have showed up here today.
Crazy, but it really shows Rhode Island's true colors. We're truly a blue state, and we really care about each other, and we all know Black Lives Matter.
Some folks are worried that things are going to, once the sun sets, maybe get a little raucous, turn violent. Do you think that the people who are here right now are the same people who would want to incite violence in this city?
No, actually, we have gotten messages on Facebook from white supremacy groups that they want to ruin the protest, but we have everybody agreed that everything should be peaceful, and we talked to the state marshal that if anybody gets out of hand, we should be talking to them first before anything happens. We're trying to get everybody out by 8 o'clock, so that doesn't really happen because curfew is at 9:30, and you figure with everybody here, it might take a while.
As young people, do you think that this is a physical demonstration of what young people can accomplish?
Yes, 100%. I think that we're going to accomplish a lot. Gen Z is going to
do big things for this country one day. I think it's finally dismantling everything that history has been talking about. History has been constantly repeating itself, and I feel like Generation Z is the one that is going to finally draw the line and say no more. And we
Again, those young organizers there, just 17 and 19 years old, some of the young people who brought this whole thing together. As you can see, the crowd is now starting to disperse. They're marching back to where they started.
We had an incredibly powerful moment live on the air. A man who says he is a Providence firefighter says that he had a moment of bias against him by Providence police, and he described it live on the air to Eyewitness News reporter Caroline Goggin. We want to go live to Caroline now in Providence. Caroline?
Yeah, Shannon and Mike, that was one of the most powerful interviews I have ever done before. Now, Terrell, he was reading from his phone because he wrote a script because he wanted to go speak on the steps of the State House. We just happened to get him first live on air at 6 o'clock on WPRI 12. He detailed a moment earlier this week. He's a Providence firefighter, a young black man, and he detailed a moment when two Providence police officers, he says, confronted him outside the fire station and pulled a gun on him. He said in light of everything that's going on right now, he was so disturbed and so shocked by the situation that he wanted to share it with people at this crowd today. He wanted to get his message heard, and the message was, if people don't stand up against evil, no change can occur. So he wanted to get that message heard today. Now, he is one of thousands of people in this crowd today. As you guys said earlier, this crowd is actually leaving the State House right now. They came here about 2 hours ago, and now with signs in hand and police monitoring them and stationed along the way, they are leaving the State House, walking past the Providence Place Mall. As we have been saying throughout the newscast, there is a curfew in effect in the city of Providence tonight. That curfew starts at 9 o'clock. Providence police were hoping for a peaceful protest today, and that's what this protest has been. Colonel Hugh Clements said at 9 o'clock, though, if there are crowds still out, they will work to disperse those crowds. But right now, it's just about 6:30, 6:45, and the crowd of protesters is now leaving the State House after what's been a peaceful afternoon here in the city of Providence. Back to you guys.
Caroline, you were there overnight, Monday night into Tuesday, and what the governor and police called an attack on the city of Providence. That was not a peaceful protest today was. Talk about the differences and how you felt being in the middle of all of that Tuesday and what you're feeling today.
So on Tuesday morning, Mike, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I met with Rhode Island State Police Colonel James Manny outside the State House, and I talked to him, and that was when he first said to me, this was a mob. This was an attack, a coordinated attack on the city of Providence and the state of Rhode Island. And that night, we were standing actually right in this area. It was a violent night as we had rioters out here in full force. You had looters break into the Providence Place Mall, and then once they were dispersed from this area on the green right outside the Providence Place Mall because of tear gas that police had to disperse, they went throughout the streets of Providence, Westminster Street, Atwells Avenue, and they caused destruction to businesses in the area. This today is the complete opposite. This was not that. Peaceful protesters by the thousands instead of the hundreds came out to make their voices heard. So this is a welcome difference here in the city of Providence. It is nothing like what we saw Monday night into Tuesday morning.
Caroline, thank you. And a unique vantage point as we watch these thousands and thousands of crowds leave right now is from above. And that's where Eyewitness News reporter Shiina Losciuto is and can really give us a good example of just how many people were at this protest today. Shiina?
Yeah, when people first met up here at Kennedy Plaza, it seems like there were two meeting points. This was one of them. There was just a sea of people. For example, if I had this shot up earlier, you could basically only see people and some buildings. There wasn't much space in between. And right now, I know some of my colleagues have been saying it seems like people are kind of moving, and just in the last few minutes or so, maybe the last 5 minutes, I've been seeing a lot of people come back here to Kennedy Plaza. Looks like they have their signs up, and some of them are outside and in front of City Hall as well. And some of them, no matter what, maybe if they are going home at this point, it seems like they are still walking to wherever they're going with their signs in hand, holding them up proudly. From here, I can read that a lot of them say Black Lives Matter. So, of course, a lot of people are still trying to get their message across even right now, even though this thing is dwindling down, it seems, from at least my point of view. For a while, I couldn't really see much because all the action was at the State House, so I'll kind of keep an eye on things over here. Some of these people look like they are staying here and they are still chanting. I can see that from here, so we'll kind of keep an eye on that and let you guys know.
All right, Shiina, thank you very much. And you can see the scene in downtown Providence. One thing that Caroline mentioned when she was talking about the firefighter and how he was harassed and threatened by the police officer, a sergeant came back 3 o'clock in the morning. He had seen it on his body camera.
Right.
That's been a talk this week that Anastasia Williams, state representative in Providence, is asking that all police officers start wearing body cameras so we can see what happened.
And he did say that he got an apology from Providence police, but not from those 2 police officers specifically. But he was just upset by the entire experience, especially in a week when we've been having this national discussion. But this is what this is about. This is about dialogue. This is about talking and sharing stories.
A crowd of thousands has now dwindled to maybe a couple of hundred. You can see here, this is all that remains at the Rhode Island State House, a smaller group, as many people, as we've reported, have started marching back to where they came from, which is Kennedy Plaza and Central High School in downtown Providence. So the folks that are remaining right now, we're still hearing some speakers. There have been chants of no justice, no peace, Black Lives Matter, and just a few minutes ago, where is Gina, asking where Governor Raimondo is. Now, earlier today, she said she would not be able to attend this rally in person, but does support the Black Lives Matter movement. And we want to show you something here, the names of many black men whose lives have been taken from them, scrawled here on this marble pillar outside of the State House. We have not seen very many acts of vandalism tonight or any graffiti besides this. This has been a peaceful protest, a peaceful gathering, as we've reported, of close to 10,000 people here outside the Rhode Island State House. But again, the group is now dwindling as the sun starts to set and we get closer and closer to that 9 o'clock curfew. Many folks deciding to leave early. And again, now at this point, just a couple of hundred people left here outside of the State House. Back to you.
See the name Michael Brown down there. He was killed in Ferguson in 2014. I don't know if Kim is still there. Kim, what was she is. Okay, so Kim, why don't you just explain what people are just saying now as opposed to what they were saying about an hour ago?
Yeah, so what we're hearing now, we're hearing chants of Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace. And again, like I said, just a couple of minutes ago, we were hearing a chant of where is Gina? I think the folks here outside of the State House would like to see Governor Raimondo here in person. She has said that she supports the Black Lives Matter movement. Again, earlier today, she had a press conference with one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter, Gary Dantzler. I should say Brother Gary. So again, that was the chant just a few minutes ago. The governor, we have not seen her here. She said earlier that she would not be able to make it here in person, but that was the most recent call from the crowd.
And Kim, talk a little bit earlier, too, about the moment you captured before the protests started, a beautiful moment between protesters and state police that kind of came out of nowhere, but we caught it on video earlier.
Yeah, it was this tremendous moment, Shannon, and it really set the scene for what I think the protesters and the police want tonight, which is peace and unity, and for them to see eye to eye. Some protesters approached the state police, who you can still see here on the steps of the State House, trying to protect the State House. These protesters approached the officers and said, let's pray together. Those officers obliged. They embraced each other. They formed a prayer circle, and they prayed for unity, for peace, for safety tonight. And I think those are really the main goals of everyone who is gathered here in front of the State House.
Colonel Hugh Clements, he said he was not surprised that this was going to be a peaceful demonstration. He said Black Lives Matter promised him that, and he believed them. What else did he tell you?
Yeah, well, Mike, I spoke with the chief a short time ago, and he said, you know, they stuck to their word. The organizers of this protest promised a peaceful demonstration, and that's exactly what it's been. And as you said, he never doubted that. But he did say there is going to be a slight change in their approach tonight at around 8:30 as they approach that 9 o'clock curfew. They are going to encourage people to go home because they don't want a repeat of what happened earlier in the week, those riots, that looting, that violence that erupted overnight Monday into Tuesday. We have seen a heavy police and National Guard presence here, and what they are trying to do is avoid a repeat of what happened earlier in the week. So he said, you know, we're not going to be heavy-handed, but we do want to encourage people to get home so that we can have a safe night here in Providence.